Did you like Tutu in the PTQ, Cedric? Oh, he's gone.
So!
This loading video thing is somewhat less. Oh, it thinks we're here, but the preview is not. Come on. You know you want it, Twitch.
Episode 32 of Gamestate goes today.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ooh,
dirty.
Echo.
Talk dirty to Twitch, that's what you should do.
I
A
found
Twitch.
it.
Ooh, I
Alright.
should edit the title.
You should talk dirty, too.
I'm retweeting Glenn's because I like him more than you. Taste
That's
it.
fine. Hey, you do what you gotta do, man. In
Alright.
the game of life, Glenn always wins. That's what I've learned. Slowly but surely.
Alright.
Am I like the virus of life? Is that the implication?
Yeah, you are.
You've infected all of life.
Just grinding it out time after time. Nobody likes it, gets the job done.
With your mean beard, I can't stop you. I can only hope to contain you.
Alright. Well, to all 35 of our viewers, hello and welcome to Gamestate episode 32. It is Monday, March the 11th, it looks like? Yes, Monday, March the 11th. And today we're going to be talking about You Make the Card 4, and also GP Rio, GP Verona, and a little bit of Star City Games Indianapolis. We are only 10 minutes late. I apologize for the brief delay. But as per usual, I am your host, Adam, the winner is you, Ragsdale, and with me, as always, are Glenn Jones, event coverage coordinator for Star City Games,
Hello, everyone.
Stephen Flavel, poker pro and magic enthusiast,
Hey, everybody.
and Cedric Phillips, professional magician.
Yesterday, I found out that going 10-0 simply is not enough. Have
Since
to
when has that been enough?
I don't know how this was news to you.
I
But
think
if I
this is
started-
Idaho. Like,
If I started 10-0 at a pro tour, I'd be pretty happy. But yesterday, no sir. Doesn't mean a goddamn thing. So, a good day overall.
Solid, solid. Welcome to Magic the Gathering tournaments. Did you at least win like 10 booster packs for your troubles?
I think I got 54 and like 12 QPs. So I mean, that's
Wow,
what I
seriously?
That's what I
That's
came
like-
for.
That's
so,
not the worst.
Yeah, I came for the packs and the QPs, and if I got the invite, so be it.
Alright.
yeah, they
Tough,
run
but
premier
fair.
events on the weekend too. You can just play in those.
Oh,
Yeah,
had I
you
known
can-
that, I would have played something different.
You would have gotten like
you
15 packs for
Yeah,
one of those ones.
yeah. I watched someone lose in top 4 of a premier and get 15 packs. Like, slightly more than a 4-0 in a daily. This was a good decision. But twice the entry, so actually, like, not as good.
It is what it is.
Just saying. Alright, our first topic for today is going to be You Make the Card 4, which was just announced this very day on the Wizards.com homepage. I will put a link to the article in the chat, but for a little bit of background, the previous 3 You Make the Cards were Forgotten Ancient, Crucible of Worlds, and the aptly named Vanish into Memory.
Well played.
So today they put up a vote in the introductory section to choose which type of card we will be making, the options being artifact, creature, enchantment, instant or sorcery, and land. So there are 5 choices. I will ask each of our wonderful panelists which choice would you like and where would you like this card to go. Cedric, we will begin with you.
I don't know where I want it to go, but a lot of talk in the old Twitter sphere is that everyone wants it to be a land, and lands are kind of sweet, so I kind of want it to be a land too. We got our creature here with Forgotten Ancient, which is like super forgettable. It was really good in its limited format, though. I think it was like nigh unbeatable in that limited format, if I remember correctly.
Exactly what you want from a card.
Crucible Worlds was pretty cool, actually. That card actually sees some play, and I've always liked that card anyway, even when I play with it. It's just like a fun card to play with. And then Vanish into Memory is like, whatever. Kind of very forgettable or whatever. And lands are cool. I like lands. I like playing a lot of lands in my decks, even my aggro decks. So let's make a sweet land. Just something better than Thespian Stage. I could very easily see like Thespian Stage being like the you make the card type land, but it's already done, so I'm kind of interested to see where we go with this, but make it a land.
All right, Glenn, how do you feel?
I mean, I guess I think lands are good too. I like playing with them. I especially like playing them and then spells immediately after. But as far as you make the card goes, not really something I've generally participated or retained interest in. I was actually going to comment before you got me with your excellent, aptly named pun that both the first two cards actually like for this thing both imply like not being remembered in their names, which is just pretty funny to me because yeah, most people did forget this was ever a thing. Crucible of Worlds is like a cool card, so anything in that range is awesome. Like I want it to be something unique, new, actually tournament playable, but also just kind of interesting and fun. I think Crucible like fills all of those descriptors. It's one of the more successful Magic cards ever made, much less made by not R&D. So.
Alrighty, Steven?
Yeah, I also would rather it be like Crucible of Worlds than those other two cards, whatever they were. I've actually given a decent amount of thought to what I want out of this, because it's like sort of a cool question to think about as a Magic player. What card do you want to see printed? And to me, it's between creature and artifact. I want it to be a spell, definitely, and I want it to be a spell that pushes design space into using some resource that hasn't been used in quite the same way before, or something like that, some sort of incremental advantage, which can easily go in an aggro deck, a mid-range deck, or a control deck, or even some sort of combo-ish deck. So, like, Crucible of Worlds. Right now, the things I'd really like to see out of it are a creature with flash that kills a planeswalker somehow. I think that would be a really cool sort of card to have and constructed. Or I'd like to see some sort of aggressively costed creature or perhaps artifact which diminishes the punishment that you get out of mulliganing. Sort of like a Serum Powder, where if it's in your hand, you can exile it and draw another 7. But I was thinking more like a Prophetic Prism, which taps for 2 if you have less cards than your opponent in hand, or something like that. I don't know.
Interesting ideas.
Yeah, you go deep and you make the card.
It's still raw. It's still raw. I'm still thinking, but like, I don't know. There are a lot of cool Magic cards you could make.
Alright. I was inclined to just pick instant or sorcery just because I like instant or sorceries, but I really have nothing beyond that, so I really don't want it to be an enchantment. That's really my only strong feeling.
Why not? Just curious.
I'm trying to like think of an enchantment that I was actually excited to play.
Heartbeat of Spring.
Yeah, I was about to say just Mirari's Wake, but that's basically the same difference.
Seismic Assault. I like Seismic Assault.
I think that I agree with you. Most enchantments are like very boring and dull, but like that's more just the part of the space. Whereas like the ones that are cool are as cool as any other cool thing. I think so.
Yeah, we don't get to see a lot of cool enchantments. And
yeah, not
anymore. I can't think of like the last cool enchantment I was really happy to cast. It's been a little while. It's like a big deal. Like an enchantment surfaces is like a pacifism or something. Or like a Rancor. Rancor's not even seeing play either, which is...
Yeah, let's make an Aura. That'd be fun.
Let's make the Boggle deck better for everybody.
Yeah.
Let's just print another Mythic Proportions. We'll give it plus 15, plus 15. That'll make it good, right?
Boom. Face.
Yeah. Got him.
That might, in fact, make it good.
Debatable.
And then everyone would be depressed.
I say we just reprint Academy Rector. Let's go. Go all in there.
Oh yeah, Pattern of Rebirth is kind of a fun enchantment. Like those.
That's a successful enchantment, sure.
Those
People like that one.
Kind of sweet.
We could just print something that costs 20. Make Erratic Explosion a thing.
Got him. Scroll Rack is coming back.
Or Nourishing Shoal for those of us who want to go super deep.
I will remove myself from this conversation of going super deep. Go ahead.
We've gone too deep.
We'll
really
never, my area of expertise.
Never make the card ever again.
No.
Yeah, I definitely not interested in making the card.
I think it's like a good promotion.
Yeah, it's a fine thing. It's just like there are people, the lottery. Like, I'm never gonna buy a lottery ticket, but I respect their right to fleece people. That's fine. Go ahead.
Hold on,
By
this
all
is.
means.
I don't think this is the same thing at all.
I mean, it's
What?
basically the same thing.
Lotteries
It's
plus
cool.
EV
Like,
sometimes, Glenn. You should look into that.
Do you have to
Does
pay?
Wizards get to name the card after it's been designed? Because that would really explain the
the
card
community, the
names.
community like picks the name from like a list of names that get like sent in.
So,
Yeah,
like
it's voted on too.
after they've developed Vanish into Memory, Wizards like gives them a list of like Vanish into Memory, shitty limited card. Woman blows kisses as she disappears forever.
Look,
If I recall, there's just like voting at every stage. Like they get like 5 artists to do a sketch, and then like the audience picks the sketch, and then like people submit names, and the audience picks the name. It was like a decade ago or something that this actually happened. So I was a small child, and I don't really remember.
I can't believe it
I
was.
really hope it wasn't a decade. I was just throwing a number out. That would make me feel really shitty.
it was described in the article as subtly powerful. This is
Yeah,
Vanish into Memory.
I liked that adjective sentence.
So they just like to lie to you in print. That's good.
There's only one format where I've actually like played Vanish to Memory and not like hated it, and that's in Type 4, where Vanish into Memory against a Merit Lage token is like the coolest thing you can do ever. But that's about it.
Type 4.
It's
Type 4,
It's
the
DC 10
infinite
where you
mana.
can only play one spell a turn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where
this
Dark Depth is
paragraph.
awesome and
This paragraph
Vanish
actually
is
with the
easy.
adjectives describing the cards is actually really good. Then came the game-bending enigma known as Crucible.
Can we describe a player as a game-bending enigma? That would be so enjoyable to me.
The multiplayer powerhouse, Forgotten Ancient, and the subtly powerful Vanish into Memory.
Can I just say, like, I think You Make the Card is pretty sweet, but the thing where they have people vote on stuff just tilts me. Like, do you guys remember when they did voting for Core Set, I think it was?
I remember
The one where
Rewind
Dismiss
versus...
lost
Yeah.
against Rewind, and it was like, why? Why did you do this? Like,
We could have had another year.
We could have had it all. Instead, we got Rewind.
Keep going, keep going.
No, I don't like to sing very much. Rolling in the deep.
Why do you have to pinch your nose when you sing?
I don't know. I was wiping my eyes. That's all.
Okay. I didn't know if it was like a tuning thing or.
No, I'm good. Thank you. I think that's the most controversial vote thing, the Rewind versus Dismiss of all of them.
yeah,
That was
I
the one
think
where
so.
everyone's like, what's wrong with you people?
Well, I remember Jade Leech versus Emperor Crocodile as well,
Yeah.
because that had some accompanying literature.
Stung.
Oh,
Well,
man,
people want to
people
feel like
who aren't as old as us have missed so many great jokes.
Yeah.
they're involved, so I'm okay with it.
Sure.
All right. That was good top level analysis, boys and girls. Let us move on. The first of our multitude of standard events that I'm going to talk about this weekend was Rio de Janeiro, a GP which was fairly lightly attended compared to the previous gigantic GPs we've seen, but it was won by one Jose Francisco Silva, also known as Jose Dantes on the coverage, depending on which area of the coverage you are looking at, and also Chaos Ze on Moto, if that's your particular bailiwick. He was playing...
Oh, that's him?
Yeah, that's him.
Wow, okay.
That's who won the GP Rio. Anyway, he was playing the Aristocrats, and the top 8 was 2 copies of the Aristocrats, 2 copies of Junk Reanimator, 1 Human Reanimator, 1 Jund, 1 Red-Green, and 1 Jund Aggro. And I will put the link in chat as per usual. They have deck lists down to the top 16. The one thing I want to talk about, obviously there's going to be a lot of deck overlap, but in this tournament there were 2 Zombies decks in the top 16. And I know you guys said some very hurtful things about Zombies last week, so I want to know if any of you have changed your tune and are now singing the praises of the Killing Wave deck, which is located securely in the top 16. Cedric, are you now glowingly optimistic about Zombies?
No. No, I'm not. Look, I don't think that deck's good, and I'm going to stand by that. forever and ever and ever. It was good previously. It's outdated, not good now. I don't think there's anything that can change it to make it any better. Uh, I know it did well in the MOCS and 2 in the top 16 here, but I just don't care because I think that there are better aggressive strategies, and I think there are more resilient aggressive strategies, and I think there are just better actual strategies like reanimating and playing blue, white, red and stuff like that. That the zombie deck doesn't interest me, and if people want to beat it, they will. And maybe they just don't want to beat it right now, so maybe that makes it like a little bit better positioned. But overall, I still think the deck's pretty bad. And yeah, that's right. I don't think it's good. I know, shocking for me, but I haven't thought it was good for a while now. So there it is.
All right, Glenn, do you think there's any merit to zombieing?
I think like the black-white zombie deck is okay, mostly because it can lean on a lot of the good cards from aristocrats to make itself work, like Lingering Souls and Orzhov Charm. Those interactions, Obsidat's really powerful in that deck, so I like those things. But there, it's more like it's a white-black aggro deck that's just it can actually play zombies instead of humans reasonably effectively, so that's why it does it. It's not like all in on the tribe or anything. So I think that deck is playable, probably like tier 1.5 or 2 or something like that. But otherwise, yeah, not interested. I like to be able to block and defend myself from my mindlessly aggressive opponents from time to time, and zombies is not very good at doing that.
Yeah, blocking is not on the list of things that zombies can do, since like last format zombies. Steven, would you like to tell us about Killing Wave?
I just want to say I was watching coverage, and we were covering a zombies match, and somebody described the pilot of his zombies deck as playing the deck as one would play a zombies deck, which was like the polite way of saying he was.
Mindlessly, one might say.
I really enjoyed that. I don't know. Killing Wave is like, yeah, I wish that card were good. Like, that's a really sweet card to put in your 60, and I don't think it's good at all. Like, I just think it's absolutely terrible, but man, it's a pretty cool one. It's some sweet stuff. For those of you who don't know what Killing Wave does, it is X black. For each creature, its controller sacrifices it unless he or she pays X life. So not only do you like get to like, I don't really know, but you also sacrifice all of your creatures.
And then with Blood Artist, oh my god. Just think of everything that you can do.
Yes, you
Except if you draw 2 Killing Waves.
Yeah, it's not a good card in multiple.
I don't quite understand. It gets you morbid for Tragic Slip.
Ding.
So does Murder, though. So.
I was going to say, there's no other way to get morbid. It's Killing Wave or bust.
We've unlocked the true potential of our Tragic Slip.
Explains everything.
So that kind of sucks. If only there were another way to trigger morbid. Bad beat.
Yeah, ever since they outlawed combat, it's become really tricky.
This pacifist magic sucks. Alright, well...
That card's really good, and I'm just wrong.
I don't think that's the problem here.
No.
I think you're safe.
Alright, well... We can talk briefly about the aristocrats, I guess. We've seen more and more instances of Falkenrath Aristocrat, obviously, since the Pro Tour. This happened on a weekend in which Sam Black, the person who designed the Aristocrats, was in Verona telling the coverage that he thought the Aristocrats was now bad, and the deck was not particularly well situated in this metagame. Do you guys think that the Aristocrats is a powerful force to be reckoned with, or do you think that this strategy is not super viable in a format where people are making your Falkenrath Aristocrat slip and fall down? Cedric?
I've always felt the way, like, after I saw the Aristocrats and saw it in action at the Pro Tour and saw, like, Tom win with the deck, my thoughts of the deck were always pretty much the same, which was, like, it was a really good deck when people don't know what's going on, because it's like kind of tricksy and what it can do, and you don't really know how aggressive its draws are or what's possible. And if you guys watch the top 8 coverage with some of Tom's plays, like bouncing his own guy with Orzhov Charm and then like blinking his Zealous Contrips, and just like there's a lot of different things that he could do. Makes it like a little bit difficult to play against. But now that people are working with what is essentially perfect information about what the deck can do, I think it just gets substantially worse. They know how they need to go about fighting it. Tragic Slip is picking up a lot in tournaments, making Aristocrat just a lot worse card. And again, like when you actually have an idea of what this deck's trying to accomplish in the early, mid, and late game, then it's really not that hard of a deck to beat. I mean, it did just win a Grand Prix, but I do agree with Sam that it is. It's nowhere near as good as it was for the Pro Tour. And Sam's really good at building decks that are good for like 1 week and catching people off guard because he is a unique deck builder. But I think when we went over the Pro Tour, I said that I felt that this deck would kind of become obsolete like 3 weeks to a month from now, and I still kind of feel that way. So.
All right, Ben, do you think?
I echo some of Cedric's points. I think that the deck is like just a reasonably competitive strategy in the format. It's a deck that has a lot of play to it, which is nice, but its actual strengths are pretty reliant on just exactly what the opponents are going to be playing. Like if people are playing, like Blue, White, Red Supreme Verdict decks, I like this deck a lot more. If people are playing Bant decks with a bunch of like Centaur Healers and Thragtusks, it's like pretty difficult to actually beat your way through that stuff. Not exciting. And as people play Tragic Slip, it gets worse. As people play decks like Naya Humans, I think that seems like it has to be like not a great matchup, just because they can be much more aggressive against you. And like the reason Sam went into Humans versus Zombies was because he wanted to be able to play defense against the aggressive decks. But Naya Humans is so resilient compared to the mono red strategies that that strategy is just not going to work out going long. It's Falcon Wrath Aristocrat was not built for that kind of a game, so I think that's basically what you wind up depending on, just which control decks are good and which aggressive decks are seeing play. And I think right now we're moving towards the ones that the Aristocrats doesn't want to be seeing.
All right, Steven?
So I got up while Glenn was talking, and I was thinking as I got up that I should just come back and say I agreed with what Glenn said, because I do every other time. And then I came back and sat down, and the first words I heard were Naya Humans is so resilient.
Well, in combat against like trying to block,
right? I
like,
don't
their humans
know
are just better than Aristocrats.
What your
humans.
sentence was, because those.
Oh well, that's fair.
Yeah, I still think pretty much what I thought about the Aristocrats at the Pro Tour, which is that it's a cool deck. It has a lot of intrinsic synergies and strengths. I think people are going to underestimate its staying power, and it's just a good deck. I agree that the format's a little more hostile to it now than it was before, but I definitely don't think that means you can't play it and win with it. I wouldn't personally. I don't think it's the best deck in the format, but I think it's still a strong choice.
All right, solid. Well, there were obviously some other strong players in Rio, but we have a hajillion standard events to cover. So those are the points we're going to hit on Rio. We are now going to talk about Verona, which was won by Junk Reanimator. Yes. Was won by Mike Krasnitsky, is how I'm going to attempt to pronounce this, with Junk Reanimator, at which point we are going to have to doff our invisible chapeaus to Glenn, who successfully predicted that Junk Reanimator would win one of the GPs this weekend. But the winning deck was Junk Reanimator in a top 8 of 2 Jund midrange, 2 blue, white, red, 1 without Boros Reckoner in the main deck, 1 black, red zombies, 1 Naya Humans, 1 Junk Reanimator, and 1 Human Reanimator are happening in the top 8. So I will put the link to the coverage and the top 16 decks in chat. But let us talk about Junk Reanimator, what it does and what it does not do, and how it differs from its human reanimating brethren. Cedric, tell us about reanimation.
Alright, so I don't know if I should give Glenn credit on this one, Brad Nelson credit on this one because he wrote about it on Star City, or myself credit on this one because I felt that Reanimator was like the best strategy in the format ever since it rotated in. Either way, I'm gonna give it to me.
In
That's
the
the gentlemanly thing to do.
Yeah.
in the tiebreak between all the people, you're gonna go with the
Tough
one
call,
who
Ref.
is
Tough call.
myself. Like that's
Yeah, I'm gonna go with myself. Tough but fair. I know. Um, Again, I'm not terribly surprised to see a Reanimator deck win a tournament. I'm actually kind of surprised when I see Reanimator decks in top 8s and not win the tournament. Just because the first thing I look at is just sideboards and see how many hate cards are in sideboards for this sort of deck, and there's just never enough or even any, especially on the Star City circuit, but even on the Grand Prix circuit as well. Um, the thing I definitely got wrong is, I wasn't sure what take of Reanimator you're supposed to go with. For this particular tournament, you see Junker Animator here, which Glenn thought would do well, and Brad definitely wrote. And as Brad is a huge fan of this deck, he thought it would do well, and it did win the tournament. So it seems like to me, like when you're coming into a tournament and you want to play reanimation strategy, you have to figure out which one's the best positioned. It's either going to be like Human Reanimator with Static Caster and Nightshade Peddler. Maybe it'll be the one with the Mill combo. Maybe it'll be the one that goes infinite with Cartel Aristocrat, or maybe it'll be this one. But either way, like if I'm coming to a standard tournament, I'm playing some sort of Reanimator deck. I'm playing a deck with Unburial Rights, with Grizzly Salvage, and then some base around those cards. Which one is right for the right week? That's something you have to analyze, but I don't even think it's close. I think it's the best deck by like a pretty wide margin, because I think it's just the most powerful thing you can be doing, and people just aren't respecting it enough. I don't know when people are just going to nut up and start playing like 4 Rest in Peace and stuff, but you have to get tired of losing on Burial Rights at some point. I'm looking at like this blue-white-red deck that made top 8, and it's just like no cards in the sideboard for reanimation decks. There's a Thought Flare in the sideboard, but there's no way to
There's a
stop
Thought Flare on the sideboard? I was
Yeah.
not aware of that.
Yeah, there's a Thought Flare in its board, but there's like no way to beat a reanimation strategy. He's just dead to it, can't really do anything, and just at some point I think people are just going to get sick of like seeing their opponent go like turn 2 Grizzly Salvage and just having this like sinking feeling of like, God, I hope he bricks, and hoping isn't a strategy. So I think this is just the best deck. Some version of this reanimation deck is just going to be the best deck every week, I think.
All right, Glenn, why don't you tell us more about your brilliant Junker Animator prediction?
Oh, I definitely echo said on just it's doing powerful things. Like that's why the deck's good in the first place. And if people aren't sideboarding against it, it's good. If you actually go back to like the quick questions I did in Las Vegas, like one of the quick questions was like, do you think Reanimator is a tier 1 strategy? And almost every answer was just like, yeah, it kind of depends on whether people are prepared or not. And that was just a week ago. And after like doing all those quick questions, I'm looking at all the top 8 deck lists from around the tournaments. It's like, people are clearly sliding. Like they're just not running enough cards, and it's going to come up in a week or two. And then that's exactly what happened. And for the record, if you're trying to decide on that call between like which Unburial Rights deck is best, it seems like I would generally just defer to whatever Brad is saying, because he tends to know when it's right to cast Unburial Rights and what to target with it. He's like been a huge proponent of, I don't know, like at least 5 different Unburial Rights decks, just like always the week before they do well. With Hoof There It Is being like the most memorable instance of that, obviously. So it's he's upfront about it, and if I was playing Unburial Rights, I'd definitely just be asking him about it.
All right, Steven, do you have Unburial Rights thoughts?
I'd like to point out that Jund Midrange did place more decks into the top 16s, just by the way.
Do you want us to pat you on the back? I'm confused.
No, I got that.
Okay. Oh, you got it yourself. Okay, gotcha. Here, I'm gonna reach over.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I picked Jund Midrange was that you guys had already picked the Reanimators. I think it's the best deck. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I like you like Reanimated, dude. I think it's sweet. I still think it's awesome that there's a combo deck in the format and that it's very powerful, and people have to respect it, and they're not doing a very good job of it, I don't feel.
There were some people who got a little adorable and had like a Sarah avatar.
Yes, let's talk
sideboard.
about the technology. The Sarah avatar is my favorite one because for those of you who don't understand what that's for, this is in the human reanimator deck that goes infinite with the milling Undercity Informer. Is that what that card is called?
Yeah.
To mill its opponent, and the purpose of the Sarah avatar is that you bring it in the human reanimator mirror, and then your opponent goes off and mills your deck, except for your Sarah Avatar, which cannot be milled, so they mill all but one of the cards in your deck, and then you kill them because you mill all the cards in their deck, because they just put all your cards in the graveyard. So that seemed pretty awesome. Like, as long as no one else has figured out what you're doing, you just always win the mirror every single time, which seems like probably a pretty good piece of technology for one sideboard slot. This was whose deck list? It was in Verona, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony Ramis Pascual.
Thank you.
It's nice
I'm
tech.
like-
It's kind of awkward because you only get to win like one game generally. So like if you lose game 1 and then you Sarah Avatar them in game 2 and game 3 you're just like well I guess I just have a Sarah Avatar in my deck now. Like I mean I would probably side it out, right? Like there's no way he goes to mill you out. Like he knows exactly what will happen if he does that. So he just assuming your opponent has a brain, like you have to board it back out. So that's kind of awkward.
Well, how's he gonna win?
Huh?
How's he gonna win then?
I mean, like by making infinite creatures, like the other thing the deck can do. Like it's not that hard.
All right, that's a good answer.
Like a
you just have to
zombie.
wait for a different thing. Like it's much easier to go infinite on the mill plan, and it works much better, I think. And we might even see that diversifying now. Like people will actually in game 2 start to like play around that, which is really awkward because then you don't even get that value from having it because they're just already playing around it. But it was definitely a sweet idea for at least a week. It's one of those ideas that's definitely, the first time you do it, it's like, well, that was the best thing you could have been doing. And the next week it's like, well, now it's just a thing you can be doing.
Isn't it like exactly as difficult? Like it's easier than going infinite with the mill, because if you have infinite with the mill, you have infinite creatures, don't you? You can mill yourself.
Well, no, because Undercity Informer is a enabler. Like he fuels you into your combo, whereas like a Huntmaster of the Fells doesn't necessarily do that. Like if you play an Undercity Informer, you can get him in the bin and get more cards.
Right, but if you hit
Like obviously, if you just Grizzly Salvage everything into the graveyard, it's like the same difference. But like you don't always get to Grizzly Salvage all your pieces into the graveyard.
I'm going to assume that I'm right and you're misunderstanding me because I don't want to talk about this anymore.
All right, that's fair.
Man, you guys just have the best tiebreaker methodology. It's really, truly wonderful
Really
to
good.
behold. Alright. So there was no consensus on which Reanimator deck you guys would want to be doing. I know that I personally prefer the Junk Reanimator deck to the Human Reanimator deck because it feels like it plays a lot better if your opponent does somehow show up with a Rest in Peace. You can just be like, well, I got these stupid Thragtusks and Resto Angel and do this stuff. Whereas Human Reanimator seems like it plays Undercity Informer and it's like, do you
That's
guys...
a decent body in limited.
Yeah, you're right about that.
I mean, you have to deal with their madcap skills somehow, right? Do you have a consensus? Do you have no knowledge in this area? Do you feel like it doesn't matter?
I mean, I think it just changes from week to week, honestly. About which strategy you want to be on. I understand why Brad and Glenn felt that Junk Reanimator would be the best strategy for this particular week, and they were right, and so was I. I don't know. It just seems like you just have to analyze the metagame every week. I definitely agree with you, Adam, that you want to be good against people playing hate and stuff, and this Junk Reanimator deck is better at beating the hate than other stuff. I mean, we could see in a week or whatever, where the Hoof There It Is version is way better because no one can beat a Summerwold Sage for a week, and then it's just I cast this on turn 2, and your opponent's like, Jesus, I'm so dead, So it really just, I think you're just gonna play do-si-do, but any deck with Umbrella Rights is just gonna be the best be the best deck each week as long as you keep up with which strategy you're supposed to be playing with it.
All right. Does anyone else, Glenn? Do you have strong feelings? You look like you didn't.
I mean, at some stage, there is just enough hate to make it not the right thing to be doing, theoretically.
But no one plays enough. That's
no one's doing it now, but that's not saying 1 week. There's just all right, screw you, here we go. I've got it all.
I've been waiting for that week for a little while. I've been waiting for that week for 2 months, man.
All right.
Like, every Star City tournament I commentate, the first thing I do when I get the deck list is just look at the sideboard, and I'm just like, how many hate cards do they have for Reanimator? Oh, 2. Like, why are you playing any at all, then? It doesn't make any sense, unless you're just trying to get, like, comically lucky on the day, which is a ridiculous strategy. Like, until I start seeing, like, 4 Rest in Peace or, like, 4 Cage or something like that, then you know, I would be, like, a little bit happier.
Sure.
But you just don't ever see it. I feel like people are just, like, afraid to do it or something. I don't understand.
All right. And Steven, do you have any leanings?
How many cards do you need to sideboard into Sarah Avatar as a different deck and kill them with it? Because I like so want to do that.
This is not what I was expecting. Like,
Considering that you can gain infinite life, it's significantly more viable than most Sarah Avatar kills.
That's true.
I think you need at least 16 cards for killing them with Sarah Avatar to be a good plan out of the board.
Shit.
That's one.
I mean, you kill them with Unburial Rights, you understand, right? You're letting them infinite combo you and then killing them back. Anyway, I think there's an argument to be made for banning Unburial Rights right now. I think the card is enabling so many strategies, and they're very good strategies, and it's hard to pick the right hate for them. And the hate cards available to the decks are not good hate cards. They're awful hate cards. That's like, they're just not very good.
I call.
That's a little aggressive.
We have a bold statement here.
I mean, the hate cards legal and standard see play in Legacy and Modern. Like, they're, as hate cards go, they're pretty good. Obviously, like,
I think
contextually they are worse because of, like, how the format works.
Right.
But, like, their actual power level is pretty high.
I think that, like, Junk Reanimator is probably the best deck in Standard, and it's, like, very unreasonable to say that Unburial Rights, like, deserves a ban or is even close. I don't think, like, any deck is so far above the other decks in Standard right now that saying that kind of stuff is even legitimate.
Bastard son. I don't know. I think if you get to a point where decks are playing enough hate for this archetype, you should probably just be banning the card because it's an unhealthy format. I really
don't agree with that. I mean, there's merit to having a deck that just keeps people honest, you know, rotating in and out.
The problem is, like, historically, that deck has been slower than the aggro decks, or the aggro decks have had cards available to beat it. And I think that this deck just, like, beats the aggro decks anyway. Like the combo decks are meant to keep you honest by forcing you to make early turn plays, interact on early turns, like, be an aggressive on the deck to kill them and pressure them, etc. But the aggro decks don't have the tools available. They don't have the discard available. They don't have the creatures that interact in quite the right way. Like, they have Thalia, and that's a start, but it's not great. I don't know.
I don't think that we're even close to the point where this, like, banning something is.
Dude, I want turn 2 combo legal and Modern 100%, but in Standard right now, I just think this is a little suffocating.
You want turn 2 combo in Modern? Why? Why?
Because
then
in
you get to
Modern,
play less Modern.
Cards you can play which stop people from killing you in turn 2. There are cards that very reasonably go on the aggro decks, the incremental advantage decks, and the control decks, all of them, which interact with a combo deck which is trying to kill on turn 2 and stops the combo deck from killing you. And they're, like, good cards to have in your deck and make the format more exciting to play to put them in your deck. But I think in Standard, the cards available that let you interact with a combo deck like this suck for your deck. Like, they're not very interactive at all, and you can't clock it. You can't disrupt it. So I just don't think it's very good in Standard.
Sometimes you gotta play some shitty cards.
I'm not saying that Reanimator's turn 2 combo in Standard, by the way.
Alright, well, you've taken a bold stance, sir. and I respect bold stance taking, even if I think this particular one is ridiculous.
I never claimed not to be ridiculous.
Tough but fair. Alright, let's talk about Blue, White, Red. There were 4 copies of Blue, White, Red in the top 16 of Verona. There was only 1 copy of Blue, White, Red in the top 16 of Rio. One of the Blue, White, Red decks in the top 8 of Verona had no Reckoners in the main deck, which is pretty exciting as Blue, White, Red decks go. It looks almost exactly like that Blue, White, Red deck that Cedric was tricked into playing before Reckoner was released.
Ah, yes. Jerry.
Yes. The one that simply plays Geist of St. Traft and Thundermaw Hellkite and hopes to God that its mana actually works. So what do you guys think about moving Reckoner to the sideboard? What was going on here, and do you think this is the future of the Blue White Red deck, or is this just a one-time thing? Cedric, why don't you tell us about Blue White Red decks?
Yeah, because I'm the master of those
Yep.
decks. I know everything that there is to know about them. Wow. Jeez. Putting Boris Reckoner in the sideboard is just insane to me. I don't understand. It's just better than Geist of St. Traftis. I don't understand why you'd move him to the sideboard and then port him in, because it feels like you're probably just boarding him in everywhere. So why aren't they in your main deck? Doesn't make any sense to me. Blue White Red's Blue White Red, right? Like, it's just like a staple of the format. Good deck, can win any tournament it plays. Depending on how good the pilot is. I don't think it's ever going to be poorly positioned. I don't think it's ever going to be, insanely positioned and have it be the best deck in the format. I just think it's a deck. It's a good deck. There's nothing wrong with it. You can change some slots around. Overall strategy is pretty cohesive. Got some good cards in your deck. That's pretty much it. There's nothing exciting about Blue White Red. It wins. It puts people in the top 8 in, like, every tournament that we see. Like, 1 or 2 copies. Maybe it might win the tournament. It's never going to, I don't think it's ever going to be like this deck where you're like, oh, man, look at that Blue White Red deck. Holy crap. It's so good. But, it's just a fine deck. And I would never fault anyone for playing it, and I would never fault anyone for being like, I don't like that deck either. I don't want to play a deck in a tournament. So it's just there. It's fine. I don't really have much anything to say about it. Nothing negative to say about it, but nothing overwhelmingly positive either.
Alright. Glenn, do you wish to cut the Revelations and the Reckoners from your Blue White Red deck?
I like cards that give me free wins, and those are all of the cards that give you free wins. So, no. I want to keep them. Like, Geist of St. Traft is a card that also delivers free wins, but in this metagame, it seems like just being able to plop down a Reckoner and your opponent just being ice cold for like a turn is too easy and too worthwhile. Like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. It does not sound great to me.
Steven, would you like to take a bold stance on this issue?
Yeah, I don't mind it. Like, I think they should ban Reckoner and JK. No, I mean, it's about the dissipate is the thing about this deck. You want the double blue available, so he's tweaked the mana a lot, and it means that he's giving up Reckoner, and I can respect that. I don't know that I would make that decision. I could definitely see myself making it, though, having seen him do it. It's not something I would think to do on my own, but having the availability of more hard counter spells is, like, fairly exciting. And he gets to play a Desolate Lighthouse and a couple of Moorland Haunts because he doesn't have the triple color spell. And it's not like he's just putting it in the sideboard and getting absolutely nothing in return, I guess is my point. He's getting quite a bit of value out of his mana base and out of some double blue spells that he wouldn't be able to cast consistently otherwise. So I can definitely see that being a reasonable thing to do. I'm disappointed that he has more than one Boros Reckoner in the sideboard. It's a really bad feng shui move with like every other sideboard card being a one-off. Except Augur of Bolas, of course. A common sideboard card in many archetypes, and usually a two-off when it is. Yeah. It's an interesting deck list.
Is this the Thought Flare list, or is that the other Blue White Red deck?
This is the Thought Flare
Yeah.
list, yeah.
Could there be any doubt? Okay, well, let's talk about the third standard event of this weekend. Slightly smaller in terms of prestige, perhaps, than the other two, but larger in terms of online viewership, the Star City Games Indianapolis Standard Open was won by Adam Liu with Naya Humans in a top 8 which included 3 Bant decks, 2 of them playing Prime Speaker Fish with a Trident. I don't know, Zenga, something like that. How do you...
That's a correct name. Prime Speaker Fish with a Trident. Get
Two...
yours today at StarCityGames.com.
Yes. 2 Jund decks, 1 Naya Humans, 1 Junk Reanimator, 1 Esper. So obviously, the thing I want to talk about is the Prime Speaker Bant list. It's been showing up a reasonable amount online in the week leading up to this tournament, so I'm not super surprised to see the usual suspects doing such a thing. What do you guys think about the Tap Out Bant deck?
Which one is that? Prime Speaker Fish with a Trident?
Yeah, that's correct.
I think this deck's kind of sweet. I'm gonna be honest. You draw a lot of cards.
Many cards.
I like drawing cards a lot. This is just like a. I mean, Standard's like this weird thing, right? This is just like a good card deck. You just got like some Mana Acceleration, like Angel Serenity, some Farseeks, some like nice mana, and just like a bunch of good cards with like Angel, Thragtusk, Prime Speaker, Garrick, Slesnia Charm, even though I don't know how good that card is right now, but it can't be bad. It's got 3 modes. So how bad could it be? I don't know. This deck, I mean, you draw like a lot of cards. You just overwhelm your opponent with like how good your cards are, which is like how a deck like many moons ago, Solar Flare used to play, which was just like all my cards are awesome, and I get to see a bunch of them every game. And eventually, you're just going to lose because I get to see so many cards, and so many new cards are awesome. And it had some Mana Acceleration. So, I don't know. Deck seems okay. I know that like Andrew Shroud won a was it an IQ or a Classic with it?
Classic.
Was a Classic. Yeah, he won an SCG Classic with this type of strategy, and said he was like really happy with it. And then Chris O'Brien, who is someone else from Louisville, around Shroud's area, because I used to PTQ down there. He played something very similar to Shroud's deck as well. So, I mean, this deck seems perfectly reasonable. If its strategy is good, it's super good, and it seems like good card strategies are good in this format. And Prime Speaker is a way to bust the game open while giving you a huge threat as well. So. One thing that I actually do like about these guys' deck lists too is they have 3 copies of Rest in Peace. So, and it seems like, yeah, I mean, I wish they had like a little bit more early card drawing to be able to find it, like Azorius Charm or something, to be able to cycle instead of like trying to like just draw into it or like you can Prime Speaker into it, but it's probably a little too late then. But at least like I feel like they're at least trying with like 3 Rest in Peace. I wish there was a 4 next to that number, but I'll be okay.
All right, Glenn, do you have Prime Speaker experience?
Well, the deck won the largest Classic that we've ever held in Louisville with Andrew Shroud, and it single top forward, right? No, double top forward. Double top forward, the largest Open ever, like a week after. So it seems like, theoretically, if results mean anything, but we all know they don't, that it's a pretty good deck right now. Honestly, like, it seems better than the other Bant decks. I think that the real power of the deck actually lies in its ability to like consistently turn 3 a Thragtusk or a Garrick or something like that, while constantly threatening something even better every turn. Like, if you think about it, say you're on the play and you just play like a turn 3 Garrick, like, even assuming they're playing a deck that can answer that, which is like, you know, a bit of a joke in and of itself. Like, nobody can really answer that. Like, what next turn, you know, you're going to just play this Prime Speaker Zagana, and then the turn after that you have Angel Serenity? Like, at what point are they actually ever gaining some initiative on the board? Like, you're just throwing something down that's huge, and you always have something bigger following up, which is incredible. I think that it's, you know, obviously vulnerable to getting its mana guys disrupted. If you can't do those plays in a timely fashion, like if you just get a little mana screwed, you'll fall behind really fast. One of the problems with the strategy is that the cards aren't very good reactively. Like, you don't want to be playing Garrick when you're behind very frequently because he's not going to actually reverse the tide, things like that. But the deck is certainly powerful. Like, it's doing some huge things. I think that this weekend, as we saw in the finals, it got like a little colded because it seems very vulnerable to Naya Humans. Like, when your strategy is just blocking to stay alive, Frontline Medic does a big number on you. So that's pretty much just what we watched in the finals. And I think it's just another new good deck that's in Standard. And I'm upset about it because it means Prime Speaker Zagana might be a real card, which gives Brad life in a third-party competition that we're having. But, oh well.
Is this the Mythic rare off?
Yeah, yeah.
What were you on?
I'm on
Domri,
Domri
right?
Raid, and I was tied for first, while Brad was like in fifth by a large margin, like $7 to like 25 or something. And now anything could happen. We're all falling.
Both teams gonna play hard.
All right. Do you have thoughts on Bant Tap Out, Steven?
I think this deck is like a hilarious testament to how if you cast turn 3 Thragtusk or Garruk, it like you can do whatever the hell you want. They're just dead. Like, I feel like you could put 3 ham sandwiches in Zagana's spot, and you'd probably be fine in most matchups. And like, it would
Please
be
do, in
delicious.
fact.
So, uh, yeah, I mean, obviously it's good that you're like following up your gigantic turn 3 play, which won the game, with a bigger thing, because like, woohoo, bigger stuff. But I question whether that's really the important part of the deck. I'll say that it's an important part, but I think the like 12 mana accelerants plus Unreal 5 drops sort of help, probably.
Yeah.
All right. Tough but fair. And obviously, this is another Angel of Serenity deck, which is a card which has been coming back. Angel of Serenity still a thing, and it will in fact still get your entire board. I want you guys to explain to me the Naya Humans deck that won this event, because I think Standard is a incredibly wide open, broad arcing format where like no deck is clearly way above all the other ones, and like almost every deck is at least tier 2 or like very viable, except for this one, which I think is totally awful. So like am I just a stone moron? Like, why would you... Like, it has 3 extra lands from, like, the super aggressive one, which is, like, somewhat reasonable, I think, because you can actually cast all your cards all the time. So you probably have fewer, like, hands where you're stone dead. But then it has Hunmasters in it. Like, this is literally the deck that you said consistently got its opponent to 12, right?
Yeah, this is very close to... This might be, like, the exact same list or very close to the list that one in, where were we? Atlanta? Yeah, Joseph Ferrer in Atlanta. It's, like, very close to his deck. And, like, the deck I kind of wrote about, except for, like, you know, it has no good answers to Boros Reckoner in his main deck. So someone casts one you just want to throw up, which is a little bit awkward. I don't know why this won. Because, like, when I wrote about it and was playing it, I felt like it was really well positioned. And the Pro Tour happened, and everyone's decks just got better, because that's what happens after a Pro Tour. I was like, man, this deck's not good anymore. And now it won a tournament. So, I don't know. Like, this is basically... I mean, it's an aggro deck, so it can beat anything, because it has, like, a fast clock. It still has Champion of the Parish and all humans and stuff. And, you know, there are matchups where, like, Huntmaster is super good and Restoration Angel is super good. So, it's not inconceivable for this deck to win a tournament. I don't think it's better than Naya Blitz or anything, but... it's not crazy that this deck did well.
It seems like it probably wins the Naya Blitz mirror. Like, it probably gained equity there. Because you have, like, bigger stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the Naya Blitz deck can't play defense. This one can. And, you know, if you make it to turn 4, whatever, you have, like, Huntmaster, you've got Pilgrims to kind of take over, Restoration Angel, Silverblade Paladin allows you to block. Like, that's the thing that I actually liked about this deck, is that it could attack and block, so when it's playing against another aggressive deck, it could actually, you know, play defense and let its cards take over, where, like, Naya Blitz can't do that because the deck is just full of a bunch of shitty 1/1s that just turn bigger when they're attacking, whereas this deck is, like, the direct opposite of that. So, you know, if there's, if like, the format is, like, hyper-aggressive, and, like, you want to be able to play an aggressive strategy while being able to play defense, this is good. But I don't really feel like that's where the format's at right now, and I don't think this deck is aggressive enough to be able to beat reanimation strategies. So I just feel like it's, like, pretty poorly positioned right now, and I can't really explain why it did well, but, you know, magic.
Okay, that's fair. I will accept that. Glenn or Steven, do either of you wish to take a crack at explaining what the power that is not evident here is?
I actually just thought this was like a really good week for Frontline Medic, and that was the card I saw him like just winning a lot of games with. Like, it seemed like that's how he was handling Reckoner, that's how he was handling these Bant decks that were trying to block, it's how he was handling the Jund decks that were trying to defend themselves. Like, everyone was just falling over to Frontline Medic for the week, so yeah, it worked out.
Well, yeah, and this deck is probably better at casting frontline medic than the 20 land version, which like
Yeah.
fairly regularly doesn't get to its third land drop. All right, I'm willing to accept that as well. Steven, do you have any further insight to lend us?
No, I don't think this deck is good either. I I think Cedric and Glenn did an admirable job of making this deck sound considerably better than it is,
All right.
and would not play it in a Magic tournament or any other tournament, really. The thing that gets me is he has 3 basics. Like, that gets me.
I'm not gonna sit here and say that the mana base is
Sorry.
perfect.
I'm attempting to backdoor my way into the kazoo sound because oh god, I've ruined the overlay. I'm sorry, friends.
Whoa, there's a mouse on my face.
Yeah. I didn't bring up the kazoo sound, so I'm attempting to locate the kazoo sound.
Oh man.
Because it's very important to me
Yep,
that we...
definitely worth it.
I'm claiming worth on this issue. Those of you who have never played a MOBA will not be familiar, but... Okay. We have located the kazoo sound, which means that we can now proceed directly to the Legacy Grab Bag.
Lucky.
So I'm going to attempt to run the kazoo sound, and then we will talk about the Star City Open Legacy Tournament. Alright, that was like a little louder than I strictly wanted, but it was important, so we got there. The Legacy Open was won by...
We just ruined 300 people. Just destroyed them. Just destroyed. Kazoos. You're gonna hear them till you die. Oh, and the secret secret mission of Gamestate is complete. I can just leave now.
The long
Thank
con.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
The long con has been announced.
Extremely long con.
Yeah.
Deafen someone with a kazoo.
I love the long con. My favorite thing to do.
Alright, the Indianapolis Legacy Open was won by Alex Binnick. Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah.
That's
Binnick?
Maybe
correct.
Binick? I don't know. I think it's Binnick.
Yeah. With Blue-White Miracles / Counterbalance, depending what you want to count it. I mean, there are only like 4 miracles in the deck. But Blue-White Counterbalance, we will do the standard Legacy Grab Bag. Cedric, you may begin.
Grab away. Grab away. Grab away. Let's take a look here. We got some fun results here. Our top 16 in this tournament is actually pretty good. We got a Justin Uppel, an Adam Prozac, and a Todd Anderson in 13, 14, 15. But I'm actually going to take a look at first place here. Alex Binnick. Last week I was in Vegas, and goodness, what's his name? Who won in Vegas? God.
Jack Coble.
Thank you.
Ah, yes.
His bold keep, as I put it.
Yes, yes, I recall that well.
Bold Dolander for Jack, which has been a hotly disputed topic over the past 10 days. For me, I thought that win was a little bit dubious, not because of his bold keep or anything like that. And I actually think he played perfectly reasonable. I just didn't think his deck was very good. But his deck is only as good as many abrupt decays are in the room, and how many he plays against. And if you don't play against very many abrupt decays, your deck's actually very good. And he didn't play against very many, so he won the tournament. And taking a look here at Alex's win, was essentially the same deck and the same strategy. Looking at the top 8, you're not going to find very many abrupt decays here. I think
Found 3 already, man.
Oh wow, that's so many. Jesus.
Were they all in one place, or like one in each sideboard?
They were in the Nantuko Monastery.
Yeah, I see a 4-color loam deck that has 3 abrupt decays main deck, and then you've got Rug Delver, Elf combo, and Sneak and Show, another Rug Delver, like a 12-post deck. So, blue-white countertop or counterbalance type strategies are decks that are basically decks that didn't really are decks that we thought people were going to stop playing because of abrupt decay with Bug and Jund and all that nonsense. But those decks have been kind of pushed out, and with those decks being pushed out and combo being a little bit more relevant, you've got your people playing blue-white countertop again, and now this is a deck that can actually thrive when there are very few Repticates running around. So we're kind of doing a little rock, paper, scissors right now. Like Blue-White Countertop has just won back-to-back tournaments. Abrupticate is like at an all-time low, so you can probably expect to see Bug and maybe Jun start to come back a little bit here to put this deck in its place. Kind of fun how we're doing a little do-si-do in Legacy.
Alrighty. Glenn? What will you follow up the Deafening Kazoo with?
Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of combo in this room, which was kind of interesting. You don't really see it in the top 16. Like, there are a fair few combo decks, but not an actual ton. Although there was, Adam lost playing for top 8 in the last round. I think one of the other ones did as well, like a Sneak and Show player. And then, like, you've got in the top 8, 12 post Sneak and Show Ant Elf combo. Farther down, Todd on Reanimator grounded out for his top 16 finish over the course of many rounds. So, it was an interesting room because I'm not used to seeing that in Indy. I usually expect to see a lot of Esper Stoneblade, which there was some of that too. But that's the deck that shows up most frequently in that area. So it's kind of weird to see so many combo decks, but also a little refreshing, although the matches went kind of fast. And, it speaks to the countertop deck doing pretty well because, anyone that can counterbalance lock you is going to be generally favored against combo, even if you're a smarty pants like Adam, who I believe is still boarding Abrupt Decays in his Storm deck. So, it wasn't that surprising. I will say that the play in this Legacy Open was a bit suspect. I'll give a lot of people benefit of the doubt, having played in, nigh 800-man, 11-round tournament the day before. Now we got a 9-rounder Legacy. I think it's tiring. But we definitely saw some interesting lines going on pretty much like all the way through the event. So that was pretty weird tournament to commentate, actually. Interesting and fun, though. Oh no, I tried to link to a deck in the database and it said I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I think SCG just went down.
Oh yeah, it was doing that.
That never happens. How dare you say
It was
such
doing
a
that earlier.
Our server wasn't dead a mere hour ago either.
Yeah, that thing. Alright, Steven, grab it up.
Well, we don't have deck lists anymore, but
I do.
Dagger.
Well done, Cedric. I guess I can relate. So, I'm sort of dumb, and sometimes I go to sleep and my phone is right next to my head and beeps at me for Twitter notifications. So, like, you guys were talking about how you had correctly selected that not Esper or Jund midrange would win the GPs. And, like, including me in the tweets. And I was sleeping. And then I wasn't sleeping anymore, you understand? So I got up, and I, like, dragged myself out of bed and go over there. And, God, the story is actually temporally flawed, but whatever. The point is, Adam is watching recorded coverage of the SCG tournament over live coverage of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, just me and 1,200 other people were doing that.
Yeah, 1,200 other people.
Yeah,
It's
it was
like
a pretty good week for viewers.
2 a.m. There's a live GP happening in Europe. It's impressive. It's probably
As I
something
recall,
to do with
I know
the legacy,
we were beating
right?
the GP for like a lot of its time, and we actually also beat a GP in attendance this weekend. Indy was bigger than Rio, so
Maybe
Is,
offering
like-
a slightly superior product. That
It's probably
may be
true
occurring.
geographically too, right?
yeah.
It's debatable. Coverage was good.
Rio, 486.5 square miles. I don't know, it's pretty big. It's not actually very big.
I don't know. I didn't watch a ton of the coverage. I saw like one and a bit
Did you just call
rounds.
me fat, Cedric?
What? No?
He did, yes.
No, I didn't. I didn't say anything.
Oh,
I saw a round of Glenn. You were in the booth with Sheen, and I thought you guys
Yeah.
did a really good job. I thought it was quite good. You were like talking about things you could do, and it was interesting to me. I don't know if like other people were interested in that, but I thought it was sweet.
Actually, like last week in Vegas, I thought I was like kind of not a great guest commentator. I was really tired, and I felt like I said some dumb things.
And you
Plus,
tried
like
to
we just
punch me
misread
in
a
the
card once, and it just was
And
never there.
You tried to punch me in the stomach.
I don't remember that at all.
I do. I do.
But this week I actually was
How
pretty proud.
could you
I walked out of the
miss?
booth both times, and I was like, "All right, that was good information. I thought that was a good job."
Glenn tried to punch me in the stomach.
How did he, like... Did he fail?
Well, he stopped himself,
Oh, okay.
thankfully.
I pretty much have to exercise nigh constant self-restraint for all of my impulses. So, really, I'm doing everyone a favor.
One of the interesting things that you guys don't know about commentary is that sometimes when you're doing commentary, you have to use the restroom. And sometimes when you're doing commentary, you can't do that because you're live on the air. So Glenn thought it would be funny after I had a Philadelphia cheesesteak with so many jalapenos on it, I don't know why AJ did this, that it would be funny to attempt to punch me in the stomach while we were trying to finish a round. I did not find this to be funny, and thankfully we finished our match so I could go use the little boys' room. Glenn, I appreciate you not actually hitting me. That was very nice of you, especially
You're
after
welcome.
losing the bet, too. You really could have sunk to a low level there, but you stopped me. So it is very much appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, you're a true Renaissance man.
Yeah, just overall, just a good guy.
Alright, well, that will pretty much do it for our show this week, I believe, unless anyone has anything fascinating they would like to touch on. Speak now or forever hold your peace. No? Okay, good. Let's do some shoutouts and get out. Cedric, you may begin.
Alright, party people. Thanks for watching today. I'll be streaming tomorrow for some amount of time. I will not be streaming Wednesday or Thursday because I'll be in Las Vegas again. I'm going there for my best friend's bachelor party from Wednesday until Monday morning. So I'll be streaming.
Holy shit, that's a bachelor party.
That's a long one, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh boy.
So I'll be enjoying Vegas and all that it has to offer. Probably check raising morons and tourists. Probably stream for like 5 hours tomorrow, honestly. And those of you who were following how I was doing in the PTQ yesterday, I'm sorry I did not win. I tried my hardest. I made it to the top 4. I was 10-0. But I played against a Splinter Twin deck that I should never beat and did not beat. It's the second or third time I've played against that guy on Magic Online, and he's crushed me every time I've played him. So
He just, he keeps boarding in this Batter Skull and just murdering people with it.
yeah, I think it's his Batter. I don't know if it's Batter Skull's main deck or not.
Who's?
Could be Ophelia.
Yeah, I don't know who he is. I know he's good.
It's a crazy girl from Hamlet, Cedric.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Wait, what deck is this that we're talking about? Sorry.
Blue-red twin.
He was playing Twin, but his Twin deck has Snapcaster, Cryptic, and
Clique.
Vendilion Click.
Yeah.
Okay, so he boards into like a blue-red tempo-y aggro deck.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
kinda, yeah.
but his deck also starts that way too.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
He's
But
just
he also has a twin combo, but like when you're playing against him, you don't know if he has like 8 pieces of like twin and XR plus like some number of Kikijikis and Splinter Twins. Like you have no idea what his numbers are.
Yeah, I know that Reynad slaughter games him in game 3, I think, of top 8
that was
for
so
Deceiver
funny.
Exarch and got 2, and it was
That
like,
was so funny.
okay.
Yeah, the guy puts in the chat, "Yep, slaughtered."
It sounds similar in principle to Caleb's deck, which is like the 3-color deck that kind of plays like a tempo game post board, but in game 1 is more of a combo deck.
Yeah. So I don't know how many pieces he has, but like I played against him before. I knew he had Cryptic and Snapcaster, which is hell for Tron to beat, and he has Romance obviously too. So I can never beat him. It's like literally impossible. Like I board in all these like marginal cards, and he's just like, I don't care. Attack you with Vendilion Click. I can't fucking beat that either. So,
Yeah.
I actually, for the first time in my life, was rooting for Renat to win so that I could play against him because his matchup was a bye, and then the finals was like a bye. But, it's okay. You don't really win every time. So, I gave it my best shot, and 10-0 again, not good enough for a PTQ win. So, that's life. But appreciate you guys rooting for me, and we'll see you guys next week.
Alright, Glenn? Tell the
Yeah,
people what
I
they've won.
am not working this weekend. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's like the last time I'm not working for like 3 months on the weekend, so that's less exciting. But yeah, I'm planning to go to a PTQ and then maybe the DC Legacy Open after that. Kind of depends on driving times and if other people are interested in my particular itinerary. I think most people are just going to play the DC Open for both days though, so ideally it'll be a super soft PTQ. Please be a super soft. I'm probably looking at playing Caleb's twin deck. Honestly, I'm on like a 6 streak with that deck right now. I think I'm won like my last 12 matches or something like that. But I've also gone on some like bad benders with it too, so not sold yet. I'm gonna try a few brews, but those are the decks I'm really looking at, is like blue white control and the blue white red twin deck. And because I'm playing a PTQ this weekend, I'll be streaming a lot more this week. Probably not today because I am physically and mentally exhausted from like 32 hours of work, but I'll definitely be doing some tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, probably a little bit Friday, but depends on my travels. So that's my plan.
Alrighty, Steven.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I will probably be losing at Gatecrash some more. I believe I am on a 13 draft no cash streak for 8-4s,
That's respectable.
which is like very easily the longest streak of my life.
So you're actually just paying to draft this format at the moment.
I think I'm still above even in the format, but
Sounds rough.
yeah, certainly the last 13 have not been fun.
You remember when I said I liked that format?
What an idiot.
Yeah, I hate it. Yesterday, I drafted a deck. I built it. I had 18 cards. I just conceded the draft before playing a game and just drafted it. And then I drafted again. I got to 20 cards, played a match, lost, and then just went back to sleep. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible.
Last night I played a draft. I cast a 7/7 flying creature against my opponent's board of Baros Elite. That's a 1/1, by the way. And like the Squire who pings for 1 with Battalion.
The Bomber Corps.
Yes. And he had 2 cards in hand, and they were Active Treason and Baros Charm. So
Dead.
I was then attacked by a double striking 7/7 flyer.
Bam.
Was that
So that was 14. That's 19 points on those two.
It was a lot of
I
points.
think.
It was. I started at 18, which was less than 19.
That's too bad.
Like,
Almost good enough. Almost good enough.
Adding it up, and I was like, okay, so I'll end up on 13. I have 3 removal spells in my hand. Should be fine. And then he cast the Baros Charm. And like 18 hours later, I was talking about it on Gamestate. Like,
Would you say that you were the true victor of that game?
no.
No? Alright.
No.
No.
Okay. I just want to say thanks for watching. I streamed about 25 hours worth of me playing poorly in various formats last week. I will probably do at least that much this coming week. I realized that perhaps the majority of our viewers have no idea that I've ever done such a thing, so if you wish to watch me playing poorly, you can see such a thing at twitch.tv/AWIY, where you can come and tell me that I am an idiot and the music I listen to sucks. Beyond that, thanks for watching. We will see everyone next week. Goodbye, everyone.